The Big Bang Theory was one of the funniest shows ever. But on the set, the actors had their fair share of drama.
It was hard. We had a lot of anxieties.
Why did Kaley Cuoco risk losing her leg? How did the actors deal with the hazard of choking?
I've got a mouthful of rice.
And what personal loss led to the ending of the series? Let's dive in. Accidents happen. Kaley Cuoco has always been an avid horse rider. This beautiful but dangerous sport almost left Kaley disabled at some point. During the production of season 4, she got into a serious accident.
My horse was still kind of spooking. He was in the corner, just trying to get away from me. He leaped over me and landed on my leg.
Surprisingly, Kaley didn't feel anything at first.
And I heard, no, I really did. And I thought he landed on leaves.
But those were her bones she heard cracking. The injury was so serious that doctors even considered amputating her leg. Thankfully, it didn't happen. And Kaley only had to wear a cast for a while. That's why she suddenly turned into a bartender, by the way, to hide her leg. A similar thing was done for Mayim Bialik, who had her hand injured during production. It happened because of a car accident, which thankfully didn't end too badly.
It's nice when it's not your fault, you know, to walk out of it like this.
The showrunners decided not to incorporate Mayim's injury into the show as well. Instead, they concealed her hand from viewers with the help of clever cinematography.
I'm okay. I'm in pain, but I'm okay.
But Mayim's struggle on the set wasn't only physical, treating real-life anxiety. The actress has been in the business for most of her life, but it didn't prevent her from feeling anxious on the set of The Big Bang Theory. After the show was over, she discussed it during her web series, Mayim Bialik's Breakdown. The actress shared that she's been having a high level of anxiety when it comes to performing in general. And while filming the sitcom, she didn't feel her best. Even the high ratings and myriads of fans who loved Amy Farrah Fowler didn't help.
When I've tried to do things like improv, you know, things that are very kind of free form, I freeze.
It's hard to guess that Mayim felt this way because her performance was spotless. Yet sometimes it was hard for the actress to act the way the director wanted her to. And she was also worried about getting the necessary reaction from the audience. To deal with her anxiety issue, Bialik had to go through therapy. Luckily, it helped her a lot. You'd never think starring in a sitcom could be so hard, right? The Penny actress knows this from her own experience as well. Chuck Lorre got seriously offended. You probably know that Kaley dated Johnny Galecki during the early seasons. Their relationship didn't last, and they broke up at the worst possible moment. It happened right at the time when Penny and Leonard restarted their relationship. Going to work was pretty hard because Kaley and Johnny were still sensitive about their split. But the show writers didn't make things easier.
Like, in a funny way.
Yeah. It seemed to Kaley that Penny and Leonard had more intimate scenes than ever. And she even suggested that it was Chuck Lorre's idea to make them sleep together in every other scene.
Johnny and I would talk. I'm like, no, but I think he did that on purpose. I still believe he might have.
The actress added that he could have done it just to mess with them. Maybe it was his revenge for being the last person to know about their relationship? Yeah, they hid it from both the media and their castmates. But at some point, everyone knew about it, except for Chuck. So the guy must have been upset. And here's one more issue Kaley had to deal with. Too cool to hang out with. At the beginning of filming, the original gang members were only getting to know each other. It's no secret that Kaley was the youngest, and obviously the best looking. So it's no wonder that Jim, Johnny, Simon, and Kunal also thought she was the coolest. They were sure she had the best social life of all of them. And whenever the guys went to hang out all together, they never invited her. Just because they assumed that Kaley had better things to do than spend time with a bunch of on-screen geeks. Months passed, and finally the scientist gang actors found out how wrong they were. Despite Kaley's young age and pretty looks, she never had any after-work plans. So, while they were having fun together, the Penny actress apparently stayed home to read her scripts. The poor thing must have felt pretty lonely. And she had no idea about their get-togethers.
And I was like, you guys go out? Like, and he goes, we go out, we thought you were too cool. I'm like, you've never invited me.
That's when the guys realized their mistake and finally asked Kaley to join them. It was the beginning of their friendship that still lasts to this day. They're all so great that it's hard to imagine other actors in the show, right? But we could have easily had a different cast of TBBT. Stuart as Howard, and no Kunal? Did you know that Kevin Sussman was the first choice for Howard's role? This fact was revealed in Jessica Radloff's book, The Big Bang Theory, the definitive inside story of the epic hit series. The casting process was finished, and Sussman had already celebrated getting his new role. But suddenly he got a call saying that he couldn't do it because of his Ugly Betty contract obligations. The saddest part was that his filming on that series was done at that point. Yet, the studio still wouldn't let him be in another show. So, Simon Helberg ended up playing Howard, while Kevin later got the role of Stuart. Interestingly, he never shared this story with anyone, as he never wanted to get into Simon's head. And we also found out only recently how Kunal Nayyar almost got fired. Apparently, CBS attempted to get rid of him without the rest of the cast and crew knowing. They just decided that he wasn't right for the part. Chuck Lorre didn't react well to that. "I was furious. They made this decision without consulting me," he commented. He called the executives and said that Kunal was great and only needed more time to show his character well enough. Now we know he was totally right. But another fight with the studio was just around the corner. The salary drama. Initially, Kaley, Jim, and Johnny were supposed to be the lead trio of the show, so they'd get more money per episode than Kunal and Simon. When Ma Yim and Melissa joined, they also earned less, even after being promoted to regulars. But at some point, the actors realized that it wasn't fair. Penny, Sheldon, and Leonard weren't more important characters than Raj, Howard, Amy, and Bernadette. Their screen time was pretty much the same, meaning they worked equally hard, and each one of them had a solid fan base. Interestingly, it was the so-called lead trio who started negotiations about equal payment to all of the gang members. Kaley, Jim, and Johnny even agreed to take a pay cut so that their co-stars could get more and the show budget wouldn't increase too much. Instead of $1 million per episode, they'd get $900,000. And their co-stars finally received a pay raise. Talk about team spirit, right?
It's go time! I am pumped!
And we're moving on. When eating is a struggle. In most episodes of TBBT, we saw the gang eating something. Be it a Chinese takeout or pizza at home, lunch at the Caltech cafeteria, or a meal at the Cheesecake Factory, these guys seem to be quite big foodies, right? And unlike in other shows where food is mostly fake, everything they ate in TBBT was real. What's more, it was delicious. It was all prepared by the show's prop master, Scott London, who used to dream of being a chef. Looks like his dream came true after all. But for the actors, not so much. Because in most cases, they had to only pretend to eat or take food in very small bites. Apparently, fully enjoying it would make it harder to say their lines. Here's how Kunal explained it. It's tricky. You have to time your bites with the joke. Sometimes you choke. You may understand what he means by seeing some of the bloopers from the show.
But I think we may... How about we fly to Vegas, drink, party, and oh my god.
Not for food. Let me they don't feed us here.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to stop eating sometimes, especially for Kaley.
I must be the only one who really eats the food. I save my appetite until we do those scenes. I want to look real, man.
She and everyone else had so much fun on the set, so it was sad to end the show. Let's talk more about how it happened. What made Jim Parsons stop? Most fans know that the Sheldon actor first decided to quit the series. And sure, there was no sense to keep shooting the show without the all-beloved character. Many people weren't happy about it.
It's a series finale. Someone's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
But do you know why exactly Jim wanted to leave? It wasn't because he was so sick of playing Sheldon. The real reason behind his decision was very personal and quite tragic. That year, Jim's beloved dog passed away. It was a huge loss, especially since it was the pet the actor and his husband adopted at the beginning of their relationship. Jim barely had time to grieve because he had to return to work. But that's not the end of the story. Soon afterward, he broke his foot in an onstage accident on a Broadway show and had to heal. Suddenly, he realized something else. Parsons thought that he'd be 46 after the 12th season of TBBT, and he would be close to the age at which his father passed away. Jim realized he didn't want to work that much and had to let something go. I didn't know that I was searching for it, but between the dog and the foot, I was just like, okay, let's take charge here, Jim shared. That's when he decided that it was time to quit playing Sheldon. Sure, it was a huge blow for all the other TBBT actors, but they eventually agreed that it was time to move on. Which one of these on-set dramas surprised you the most? Share in the comments below and check out our other videos on TBBT.